and welcome to the Tapas and Pretzels podcast. Welcome, Tim. Welcome, David. And also welcome, Daniel, to our podcast. Daniel Kocot, I hope I pronounced that right, is from codecentric. And what he describes himself is he does crazy stuff with APIs, right? And he makes salespeople cry or nervous, I would say. So do you want to add something, or I think it should.
Yeah, actually, that's quite good. What I also do is writing a lot of stuff actually, and being a lot of conferences around the globe, more in the space of Europe, but not in the way around. But in the end, it's about talking, listening to people, talk with people, and we can learn from each other because APIs are not that simple as some people might say.
Yeah, and I also think that you are going to the API days in, what was it, in London, right? So, but maybe we will come to that later. So where you can present your topic. And also for the topic for today is federation, or in my case, I'm not in that topic of APIs. So you said something about federated bubble and APIs. So what do you mean with that? Is there any lag or any lack of some specification framework, or what do you think about that topic?
In the end, this API world lives with buzzwords. So what we normally do is we actually, when we do APIs, right, we do a lot of software engineering stuff, software architecture stuff, and have a highly focus on APIs. But what's happening there is, in regards of vendors, products, it's really having this kind of buzzword bingo all around. So you can take every word, what you actually have, or every method in software engineering and software architecture, and put it into the context of APIs, and you get something new, like API federation, like API observability, like API testing, and so on and so on and so on. It's always with these three letters, but in the end, it's pure software development, software engineering, and software architecture. And this is what actually a lot of people are missing today, in my opinion. And it's the same with this federation stuff. Because Eric Wilde spoke about the great unbundling last year. Gartner put it on place. So there is a lot of things happening, not saying you need a high sufficient solution to get into it, just like a monolith or something like that. Just think about what you really need. And a lot of people, misunderstand this stuff, even in regards of being a vendor, having a product, and saying, oh yeah, we do federation, and we are the only ones who know what federation is. And in the end, it's architecture, it's infrastructure, and it's actually, because it's distributed, it's complicated. And that is what I see, what is really missing today still in every place. So this is why I talk about the federated bubble, actually.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think that it's true that it's a movement towards unbundling the API management solution to see them as more than integration platforms composed by modules specialized in API analytics or observability, the gateway, and wherever. In on the paper, everything goes well, but when you try to put that in I would say in the real world, problem arises. Because there is no clear standard of how each module has to behave. So each vendor is doing it on their own with no agreement. So that makes incompatibility to be there, and it's very difficult to solve. What do you think, Tim?
Yeah, I think I agree partially, but isn't it like the argument of the API federated vendors, the control plane vendors, that the position of the API in business value streams is what is currently missing? And I think they try to provide a way or thinking or concept of how APIs can be easier, more integrated into business value streams, instead of like having a centralized way, and each and every API has to run through the one and only gateway. What is your thought on that, David? Daniel, sorry.
Yeah. In the end, vendors are talking about technology, and API Federation has, in my opinion, about 40% really to handle with technology.
Mm-hmm.
Because you need, in this case, you need an enabling team like we have as in this team topologies. You might need a platform team or anything like that to really maintain a platform in the end.
Mm-hmm.
And how you achieve actually federation is really thinking about, okay, do I cover things like API as a product? Do I really cover API governance and so on and so on and so on? And what is my purpose on the integration side? Yeah, what do I need there? What do I have to integrate? What are my styles that I really have to talk about? Is it actually really REST, or better to say HTTP, or is it really something total strange like gRPC? Because I want to handle stuff. And on the other side, this is a new blog post I put out today. Actually, is really thinking, because we are really focusing on this endpoint stuff in regards of APIs. But in the end, it's more important to really think about what is of the data. So serialization, deserialization, to really think about, okay, do I need binary data or non-binary data? Because when you talk with people, they're always focusing on this stuff because they learned this from a lot of vendors in the market over the years. REST is the only way to go. And then you have the discussion, oh, it's XML or JSON. And in the end, they are both non-binary.
Yeah.
Of the text, yeah.
So easy to read, blah, blah, blah. But in the end, is this the real purpose of the use cases I'm covering? Yeah, so people have to think about, do I need something maybe like protobuf? Do I need something like Avro to really get on? Or something new stuff like Parquet or anything like that. So it's really about thinking about more stuff than just saying, okay, yeah, we do federation because it's the new buzzword thing, and the vendor we are actually using is providing a solution. Yeah, they are providing a technical solution,
Isn't
but
that
nothing
an
more.
argument exactly for federation? Because then actually the business unit can decide which kind of technology they want to go, and at least they have some kind of standards or common rules or specificas where they make the API product. And it's like you have multiple products in the company, and each and every product has their own specifics. But in the end, you need a way that you get an overview about all the products. Otherwise, you cannot run an holistic governance on top of it. Isn't that the thinking behind it?
Yeah, I think that it's tricky. No, you'll never know what is good and what is bad. I think that of course in distributed environments are quite complex to manage because they are distributed. So when you have only system, everything monolithic it's easy to control. But when you start distributing things, each module has its own technology, its own way of working. Its own architecture. I think that if we really want to embrace the federation paradigm, a big effort in standardization should be made. And that making that effort in standardization means that all the vendors will have to make an effort to adapt to that standard. So and that is not free. It's not for free. You have to invest on that standardization. And how are you going to recover your investment? You really don't know. So you are telling me that in order to distribute things, in order to give some value to my competitors, I have to invest money and time and resources to do that. And what I'm going to get back, you really don't know, because I'm opening my product to allow another vendor to plug in my product suite to do something that I'm not really doing the best way. That's why you are using another vendor. It's it's not easy decision. So I think that it could be done if the market, that is, if we users push on that. If the market is demanding, we want to bet on openness, really openness from the platform level. Great, probably, but I'm now putting the user hat. Okay, I will have to manage 3-4 vendor product from different vendors that has to interact together. I will have to manage 4 contracts with 4 vendors instead of only one. Poof! It also makes my maintenance cost to increase. So I think that from the conceptual point of view, federation is really great. You can compose your API platform, but when you put in place, it's not as easy, because you have to manage all the blocks of your platform, and this increases your cost. So it's true that you will pay only for the modules you are using, but you have to take into account that management cost that will be higher.
That reminds me, actually, on the podcast that we had with BBVA, one of the previous podcasts, where actually I think federation depends on the size of your company that you're working with. So in the example of BBVA they gave is basically they have multiple subsidiaries in different countries, and each of the countries have a different maturity level. And their federation makes sense because as a central headquarter, you want to have at least some kind of overview, but you don't want to push these countries too much on buying too expensive products or what is not in their need. That makes sense, but I totally follow that that it might be a huge overhead, to maintain multiple vendor contracts and always be on top of each and every product that you need multiple teams. So it only makes sense if APIs are one of your value streams in the company, and then the costs need to be calculated in. Sorry, but yes. So Daniel, David and I on the wrong pathway, or what is your thought?
In the end, when I look on the technology side, it could be quite easy because what vendors in the market do right now is really saying, okay, you buy a control plane by us and you get data planes and you have to pay for everything. In my world, I just have to buy a control plane. And then I should be able to use any kind of technology available in the market to put it into context with this control plane, because I want just overhead so I can use any kind of product in the market, and hopefully it will be open source on the lower ground, because I have a standardization, and this is what I'm actually really missing, because we are talking about gateway. Gateway is a architecture term, with a long history. And a lot of people are missing this history because they think that is so new. It's something. It's coming from heaven and it's bringing joy. No, it's really old. It's the same with enterprise integration patterns. They are really old, but nobody sometimes give a damn about them and say, okay, we do stuff. You're doing enterprise integration there. So there is a pattern available. Please use this pattern and be able to build something with the products you use, actually. That's all. And with gateways, it's the same. So what I don't really like in this market is this featureism around. So really feature wars. I take this because they say they have this and this and this and this. In the end, it's a standard. So every gateway should do the same things on their own. And in the end, I have cross-cutting concerns. So I handled stuff on the security side. I handled stuff on traffic management, on resilience, and so on and so on. So it's all about patterns underneath. And this is something that really has, I think, to shake the market, because I think when I look at the new API landscape, there are around 50 solutions in the market. To be honest, that's a wrong decision. There should be one specification standard what an API gateway does. And every vendor has to think about, okay, do I get into the market? And not to say, okay, this feature is enterprisey, you have to pay for it. Another is saying, no, it's not enterprisey, you can have it with our open source edition, blah, 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 blah. And these are the discussions we have nowadays, quite here in Germany, actually, that everybody is looking, what is the lowest price? So it's like being on eBay or somewhere else where to get something with the lowest price. Not to really think about, do I need this? Is my stuff capable to handle this? Because I don't need an API gateway, sorry for the rant, with a Lua integration side when I don't have Lua knowledge in my company.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or anything else that is available in the market, or something with Rust, or when I see this WebAssembly stuff. You shouldn't use this if you don't have the capabilities on board. And really focus on that, what is really available, and brings people on speed. Not saying faster time to market, really on speed, to make sure that they understand, okay, this is a component I need, so I need some kind of specification framework to describe this. And in the end, for the developers, it's totally of non-interest what we have there. They just heavily rely on specification and say, okay, I want to have rate limiting, I want to have this on my service, I want to have this. Just specify. And then somebody has to do some magic. That's my idea for the future, to really put this into place, to really make people giving away this cognitive load, actually. So when I do API gateway stuff or API stuff on a platform engineering level, it's really about to really recover people from that, and not to say, oh yeah, we are using this. Now you have to look in the documentation how to handle this and how to really configure this stuff. Oh, you didn't send a YAML file with you. Oh, that's a problem. We can't do this. So in my opinion, the developers providing services doesn't have to know anything about Kubernetes and what is happening inside a gateway. They just really have to rely on the stuff they know, so really programming stuff, and put stuff into place so that a pipeline or whatever can really add value to having some kind of DevOps stuff or whatever we talk about. Or when we take this team topologies thing to really bring value and say, okay, this is available, you can just use the stuff, but you don't have to know anything about how to get there. And this is something I'm really missing since years, because you have to know so much stuff about the products in the market, and they have different opinions about how to automate the things there, and it's really in the end annoying. And we are all looking at stuff like OpenAPI, like Async API, which are standards or becoming standards, and there are specifications around. And in my opinion, we need the same for this whole infrastructure and really developer related stuff to make it easier to understand. Because in the end, what will happen, the service and the API will be in a catalog somewhere, hopefully with the description of the data and so on and so on. But it's of non-interest how to get there, actually. It just has to be the interest, oh, there is a pipeline, I can use this, I can put this into the context of what I'm actually doing. And in the end, I'm quite at high speed and can deliver stuff, and it's working all over the place. And I don't have to know anything about all the vendors in the market. I will not name them, because it's too much, actually. What people in the API field have really to know in these days. It's really focusing on that. So in my opinion, it doesn't really matter what you use. In the end, it's really about having a standard, a description of a standard, and then get into the place, and there might be some magic somewhere.
Yeah.
What is your prediction for the future? Like, will we see like a federated solution or control plane solution that will dominate, and will the API gateway market shrink down to several low cost, or is it the other way around? We will see one mature API gateway provider that will dominate the market.
To be honest, if we
Of course.
if we don't go into a standardization and everybody is aware of this, we will have a market like it is, even in the next years, and nobody will get into this economy stuff because they are just talking about, oh, I have to buy this, oh, I have to pay this, oh, it's a subscription for 1 year, it's around 50,000 euros. Oh, where are my return cost of invest and so on and so on. So it's really on that level. But in the end, what we really need is that people want to share information with each other. So we have to lower the barrier more and more and more. And we are actually in need when you think about something like the digital product passport, which will come because it's an act on the EU, and it will cover stuff that is really needed, like we see it now in the battery field, starting from there. What are the components of a battery? Is the battery in good shape? Is it still working? What is the recycling path? So we have a lot of information actually around, and they will be stored somewhere centralized. And for this, we need somehow APIs, whatever that means. If somebody is sharing topics, if somebody is sharing just payloads, but we need some kind of interfaces for this. And there will be more and more things coming around. Even when you think about all the food stuff, so that you really need classification of food there in regards of this product passport act actually. So there's a real need, and this is, I think, more the things we should cover on, and not say we have to talk and again since 10 or even more years about technology, because technology is there. But what we do right now, we make it more and more complicated. So that people can not really bring value to the stuff. So when you look even at the side of events today, it's totally critical and hard to really bring initiatives on speed in regards of how to handle events in a company, because there is nothing really available. Yeah, there's this async API stuff, there's this cloud event stuff, but it's not covering learning, it's not covering enablement, nothing. So, and people are totally alone with this. And in my opinion, I think it is really on us doing consultancy on that level to really bring this enablement to the people there, and to really enable them to do things, and really bring on assets into this context. So the approach from Fortwork is actually saying, okay, you need this asset-based consulting stuff. So you want to work with us, we bring several stuff with us. So we don't start from scratch as we did it in the earlier days. We really bring stuff with us because we did it with other customers. We share things we did with customers in the past actually, and you will really provide knowledge on that, because we share something that might be unique to you, and we have to adapt it to your place, but it's even on the fast lane track actually, because this is, in my opinion, what people really need in this sectors actually, when you're not looking at the enterprise level, which is also totally different when you look at different countries like Spain or Germany, because the adoption rate here is, I would say, quite lower than it is in other parts of Europe. So I think it's really on that, going in this directions, and really forcing people to rethink stuff what they do. And in the end, it's not about technology. Technology is nice, but it's not about that.
Absolutely, I completely agree with you.
I have to say that was like a good phrase for the end. So thank you very much. It was a nice talk with you. And we will see us in the next podcast.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.